Dark Souls. It's a name that I'm sure you're familiar with, and if you aren't, then welcome. You must be new. Please pull up a seat, get cozy, grab a snack. Anyway, the majority of you are familiar with Dark Souls. Whether it be because of the games themselves or a Crash Bandicoot review, doesn't really matter. Dark Souls is a modern, timeless classic. It's one of those games that, no matter how many times I play it, it never gets old. There's always a character build or weapon I haven't tried yet. There's an NPC side quest I never finished. There's some PvP area I haven't gotten dumpstered in yet. In fact, this whole video spawned from me just wanting to capture my attempts at getting the Great Scythe early in the game. I spent a long time trying to find a way to turn a scythe run into any kind of a meaningful video, and needless to say, I didn't find one. However, while I was online reading up on some Souls lore and the various themes in the games, I saw a pattern starting to form, and it introduced me to something that made Dark Souls even more interesting. It was one little phrase I kept seeing repeated over and over. Don't you dare go hollow. The bleakest sentiment given directly to the player from the game is somehow its most bracing. It starts where all great games do. The Northern Undead Asylum, the tutorial. The intro to Dark Souls is perfectly set up to not only get you familiar with the controls, but also to get you in the right frame of mind for the rest of the game. The Asylum Demon will absolutely butt stomp your shit in the first time you try to fight it, because face it, you're weak. It shows you that it's okay to struggle against the enemies that are much stronger than you. It shows you that if you adventure around a bit, grab some more powerful gear, meet some new people, and practice a few new tricks, you'll be much better prepared the next time you face them. The challenge of the game isn't in question. Just see the aforementioned Crash review. This is a thing that works for and against the game, because even if the game fosters accomplishment through hardship, that's just word of mouth, and it can limit new inductees into playing your game. The game itself is a struggle, particularly for new players, and this is reflected in the design of the game itself. The entire world of Dark Souls is designed to look sad and tired. The only places that are clean and well put together are a lie. And everyone else here is crazy, or on the way there at least, so why aren't you? If you haven't lost interest by the time you make it halfway through Sen's Fortress for your 27th time, then the rest of the game is going to work its hardest to get you there. With bigger monsters, crazier bosses, and progressively bleaker, trying, and mood-ruining levels. So isn't it kind of funny how the number one thing that we're told to be afraid of also happens to be a good descriptor for what this game is doing to its player? Going hollow. And funnier still that the game doesn't actually let us go hollow in the same sense as the characters in the game. There's no way for us to witness our character losing their mind and leaving the reasoning of the world behind them. But who's to say that relegating them to the catatonic existence of an abandoned save file isn't hollowing enough? Maybe when we're not looking, our characters go Toy Story on us, take on actions of their own, and terrorize the NPCs of the game world. Sure, that's a little abstract and smoking weed in the basement kind of thinking, but it fills in a gap in the reasoning of the world and our character's place in it. The chosen undead was chosen by us, and whether or not it fulfills the prophecy is entirely up to that union. When that union is severed, either by a mentally taxing boss like the Four Kings, or by simply putting down $60 on a new game, it leaves our character in a state of limbo. The same state that characters like the Crestfallen Warrior have found themselves in. The Crestfallen Warrior is the first NPC you meet at Firelink Shrine. His role, at least mechanically, is to be a sort of snarky tour guide. The college student that gives the new students the campus tour while pointing out how much the food sucks and how small the dorms are, you know, that kind of guy. Sure, he'll tell you that there's 2 bells that you need to ring and where to find them, but if you really think about him, he represents what happens when you, the player, presses quit game for the final time. The prevailing theory is that he stays at Firelink Shrine because he couldn't make the journey himself. He hit that wall. He reached the barrier that he just couldn't get past. He's already started the process of going hollow because his sense of adventure got ripped away from him. He knows that there's no point in trying to be the one who links the flame because he's seen so many others try and fail. He's lost that one thing to keep him going. So now he hangs out at Firelink, waiting and watching as hundreds of thousands of chosen undeads get dropped off from the asylum. He tells you himself that there is no singular chosen undead.
Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first.
The character Oscar, the guy that springs you from prison at the start of the game, shares this story with you.
There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. And thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
It sounds like a prophecy, and it is. A self-fulfilling one. Tell every undead that they're chosen, and they'll either sacrifice themselves to the flame or die trying. Think back and try to remember your first time playing Dark Souls. There probably was a point you reached that you just couldn't get past. I certainly remember getting stuck at the gargoyles right before the first bell. Playing through it on Dumpster Gameplay back in the day, we spent a long time on that one boss fight, to the tune of something like 7 full 10-minute episodes just trying to get past the hump. There are plenty of things like this in Dark Souls that can make you want to give up. Like I mentioned before, Sen's Fortress can be a serious drain on the psyche, but when you manage to get past it, the game throws even more at you. The entire trek through Anor Londo can be mentally taxing, even though it's a beautifully designed area. Eventually, you smack down Ornstein and Smough, and reach what's considered to be the second half of the game. But then you have to deal with areas like Lost Izalith and the Demon Ruins, zones that are an absolute slog to pull yourself through because they're simply poorly designed. It's those moments, those boss fights, those areas that can make you want to put down the controller and put the game back on the shelf. When you do that, you've lost that will to keep exploring, that drive to give it just one more chance. You've let the bleak, overbearing feel of the world break you down and leave you hollow. These games don't want you to go hollow. They want you to keep pushing on and to try new things, meet new people, learn new tricks. It's no secret that sticking with Dark Souls has helped people manage their mental health and get them through some rough points in their lives. There are plenty of articles and videos out there to attest to that. And I'm no different. When I finally sat down with Dark Souls 3 and decided that I was going to beat it no matter what, it was at a time when I was trying to deal with my own brain, fighting feelings of loneliness and having problems determining my own self-worth. Now, I'm not saying this to be overly sappy, I'm not trying to bait the Academy into giving me an Oscar or something, and I'm certainly not trying to say that Dark Souls cured me or whatever. I'm simply talking about just one more thing that makes Dark Souls great, and that From Software should really be applauded for. Something that not only deepens the connection between the player and their own character, but something that's a great metaphor for something that many people deal with in their everyday lives. Thanks for watching. Be safe, friends. Don't you dare go hollow.